Today, Machlokas, Rava and Rabba. The Mishnah says that if one brings a get, he has to testify, even though he's a single witness, single person. It was written before me. It was signed before me. Rabba says, what does he have to? What exactly is he attesting to? What fact? So Rabba says, because there's a concern that since the Sofrim are not fully proficient in this aspect of the get that has to be written lishma, and the husband could say it was not written lishma, he could contest the validity of the get. Therefore, the shliach who delivers the get from overseas has to say factually it was written before me properly, lishma. Rabbi says no. The reason is because the husband could say it's a forgery. It's a forgery. So by saying it was written and signed before me, so he's substantiating that it's not a forgery. Signed means it's an authentic. It's authentic. Now it's interesting. There's interesting in Rashi. The person who delivers the get is what? He's a shliach. Let's say the shliach did not see the writing and the signing of the get. And a man goes and says, you see this document? He reads the document. He sees it's a get. He says, take it and deliver it to my wife. So what could the shliach say? He can't say it was written and signed before me. He could only say, the husband gave me this get to deliver. But that's not funny nechtam. Right? It's not funny. He's not saying he can't. All he could say, I'm a shliach. So if you're saying you're a shliach and the husband gave you that get, evidently it's not a forgery. Right? If the reason is because there's a concern, the husband may contest its validity by saying, I never gave it. It's not my get. Because I'm the agent. Because if you believe me, I'm the agent because I'm representing the husband. So evidently, the get that I'm giving, it's like if the husband himself would give a get. If the husband would give the get himself, is there a question, could we say, the get wasn't valid, or was a forgery? How could it be a forgery? Mm-hmm. If you're the husband, you're giving it, it's not a forgery, it's clear, you're giving it, somebody else, it came from you. So if the agent is the agent, so evidently the document he's giving, it's the equivalent of the husband giving the document.
Right, so if the husband would challenge it,
should it be a challenge?
How would he challenge it?
There's no basis to challenge it. Because the moment we accept that you're the agent, you're the husband. Right? You take a look in Rashi over here.
When the husband gives the get, throws the get into her backyard, does someone have to witness that act? I mean, because otherwise it's he said, she said.
No, so later we're going to come to the Gemara. We're going to come. There's a Toldos on Dalit that if she has a get, she has the document. How did she get the document? Evidently, he must have given it to her. If we don't suspect witnesses have a cheskes kashrus. So if she would go to witnesses, I would like you to write a divorce document for me. The witnesses are not going to do it. They're not permitted. It's like a lender says to witnesses, would you like you should write a loan document that so-and-so owes him money. They're not permitted to do it. It's a legal document, right? So the same thing. So if she has the get, what does that say? Clearly the husband must have given it to her. A third party didn't give her the get. The husband gave it to her. So her possessing the get is an indication that she's divorced. So if a woman comes with a get, and it's a certified that these signatures are authentic signatures, that means that tells me the witnesses who had a cheskes kashrus, they signed on this. And they wouldn't have signed unless they were authorized by the husband. Otherwise they wouldn't put the signatures on the document.
But we're dealing with a case now where this get came from overseas.
Okay.
And nobody knows who these witnesses are. Nobody knows the people.
Every Jew has a cheskes kashrus, whether he comes from Timbuktu or he comes from Yerushalayim. Every Jew has a cheskes kashrus. Presumption, he will not violate the Torah.
So it says Chaim ben Shmuel.
Right.
Aid.
So the question is, but maybe she forged it. Maybe she forged it. Right? She wants to get on with her life. She wants to get on with her life.
She goes to a new community.
Right.
Do we have to worry about this?
Well, on the Torah level, I mentioned, according to most Rishonim, you don't have to worry about it. On the Torah level. Because having a document, the Gemara is going to say there's a concept, you have a document, the presumption is document's a valid document. People don't forge documents. That's the presumption. But even though that's a presumption, we want more than presumption. It has to be certified and confirmed that this is definitely not a what? This is not a forgery. So that's called kiyum. We substantiate the document. Witnesses come and say these are our signatures. Others say we know these are so-and-so signatures.
Without that,
But it's rabbinical. According to most, it's only rabbinical.
I mean, if you take a woman who is trapped, so to speak, you know, the husband won't give her the gift. And she
But you
wants-
realize, but she's going to be committing adultery.
No, I understand.
So to forge a document, she has a cheskes kashrus. A woman is not going to commit adultery. You understand? So therefore, based on cheskes kashrus, the presumption is she did not forge it. People don't forge. A lender, it's a very serious penalty. Every time she commits adultery, it has very serious liability. If you're an observant person, you're not going to do these things. A lender is not going to forge a document or have other people write then he's a thief. Right? The presumption is it's not a forgery. If he has it, the presumption is that the borrower had borrowed and he'd given the document. That's how he has the document stating that the borrower owes him money.
So every woman who holds a gift in her possession, signed, etc., we can assume it's a kosher gift.
Correct.
We don't have to worry.
Correct. It's interesting. There's going to be an argument. We had this in Kedushin. It was mentioned. There's machlokas, Rameir, and Reb Lezer. What causes a get to be a get? Is it the witnesses that are signed on the get, or it has to be given in the presence of witness? Is it Eidi Masiro or Eidi Chasima? Masiro means the transfer. They witness the get being given from the husband to the wife, or the agent who's the equivalent of the husband to the wife. If you have just witnesses on document, that's not sufficient. Not sufficient. You have to actually witness the act. It's like Kedushin. Witnesses have to witness the act of the husband putting the ring on the finger.
That's why I asked him if he throws the gift.
Wait. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting to. Eidi Masira Karsi.
You're not
Under the chuppah.
I'm saying, but with the get, the
Wait. Okay. Do we say Eidi Masira, Eidi Chasima? Do you have to witness the giving? Now, so what do we have? Every get has witnesses written on it, signed.
Yeah.
So the Gemara says later in Gitten, it was a takon of Ram Gamliel. They tikkun olam. What's going to be? Let's say you have 80 Masir. Let's say according to Rebbe Lezer, he holds 80 Masir. You don't have to have witnesses signed, and witness signed will not cause the get to be a get. It's not a valid get. If let's say the husband had witness signed, he gave the wife the get. If there were no witnesses when you gave over the get, according to Rebbe Lezer, it's not a valid get. So what do we have witnesses? But even so, you still have witnesses signed on the get. What do you have witnesses signed on the get? That was a takana. It was an enactment of Rebbe Gamliel. Because what's going to be? A woman has a get. If there are no witnesses on the get, you know what the husband is going to say? I never gave you the get.
So what are the
Wait. Rebbe Lezer holds that when the husband, you have the text of the get, it has to be given in the presence of witnesses, two kosher witnesses, and he says, I'm divorcing you with this document. And the document, the witnesses look in the document, it's a divorce document, it has all the information. Okay? She's divorced. So now the woman's received it. Let's say that document is not signed. 5 years later, the husband says, I never gave her that get. Now how does she counter the husband? You're going to start looking for those witnesses. Where do you find them? But if you have witnesses signing on that document, so what actually terminated the marriage? Witnesses being there at the time. But how do you prove that they're witnesses? Because you have witnesses signing on the get. That's the tikkun olam. That was the legislation to protect the wife because of this eventuality. Because what happens if the witnesses should die? Or should disappear, and you can't locate him? She has a very serious problem. Just she has a piece of paper. How do we know this was ever given in the presence of witnesses? Even though she's holding it, see, if it's witnessed, you say witness is not going to sign on the document illegally on behalf of the woman. They won't do such a thing. But if you just have the text, anybody could write that text, right? She could have written the text herself. So how do you know? How do you know that the husband ever gave it to her? So by having witnesses on the document, that tells us that this document originated with the husband. And we could say with certainty that it was done correctly, that it was given. If the witness is on document, we could say with certainty he gave it in the presence of witnesses. See, the other way he says, I never gave it to her. But if we could confirm that he did give it to her, the presumption it was done properly. How was the?
Do we rule this way?
We rule this way. We rule this way.
So there has to be a witness to the giving.
Yeah, definitely.
Witnesses
Have to be there. Not only do you have witnesses signed, they have to be when it's transferred from the husband to the wife. They witness the giving. As the witnesses witness the putting the ring on the finger, they witness the giving of the gift.
So the same with the shaliach then.
Definitely.
Somebody has to witness the
Definitely,
shaliach.
definitely. You have to admit. We'll see. Is it 2 or 3? Like they even have to be a bezdin. 2 is not even sufficient. You have to have 3.
It sounds like Rabbi Lezer is saying that the get works even without the signatures, but it's not enforceable without the signatures. Meaning it's enforceable.
Can't be proven.
Right. So, but so the people are they're divorced.
They're divorced. Definitely, they're divorced.
But they can't enforce it
But-
without signatures.
Well, of course, it could be. The husband could deny
But
he ever
I'm
gave
just-
it.
I'm just separating out the
It could
two
be,
points.
it has nothing with enforcement. Factually, she's permitted to remarry immediately. But Rabbi Gamliel understood the eventuality, we could have serious problems later if we can't locate those witnesses to prove that they were there at the time.
Even if you have signatures on the get, what if you can't find those signatures?
No, the witnesses will be, signatures will substantiate the witnesses. So that's what we say. If it comes from Medina Sayyam, so the shliach has to say it, right? If it comes from overseas, the agent has to, he's the one who substantiates the document. But if it's within the community, we can locate the witnesses. So if the issue ever becomes an issue, we'll locate the witnesses.
Or at least
Or other people will recognize the witnesses.
exactly.
Or there'll be other documents we'll be able to compare signatures. There is a basis.
But the Rabbi's answer here would be that the agent would have to, I would say, run an income before probably a bank in, and they would validate that document. Is that what Rabbi's saying here?
It's for the sake of validation, right? They would have to write.
They would handpick the...
Because again, let's say it was given, and it was sent, and they don't write that special certification. Tomorrow the same thing will come up. They'll say he'll make the same claim. It was a forgery. So what are we going to do? So of course it's called the handpick. Handpick means we as a bezdin we authenticated. It was authenticated through the testimony of witnesses or the testimony of an agent, and they would actually give her a document attesting to that fact.
So that's what Rabbi's saying.
That's rubber. That is the value of fani nechtam.
According to Rabbi Eliezer, does he hold that the get has to be written lishma?
Definitely. Just the opposite. According to Rabbi Eliezer, that when it says v'kosla sefer krisus, it's only the get. According to Rabbi Meir, when it says kosav means v'chosam. That's the argument. Reb Meir interprets that when it says v'kosav, writing means signing. The signing has to be also lishma. Not only the writing, even the signing.
The reason I ask that is because if he says that the get doesn't have to be signed, it means that there were no witnesses to the actual creation of the get, the document.
No, you have to know it was written lishma.
Now, how would you know that without witnesses?
Well, if you say, no, you don't need it. If you say the average, let's say in Eretz Yisrael, not every single sofer, scribe, when he writes a get, he's proficient and he's aware of it. It's a given. A get, it's a given. It was written lishma.
Does the author, the scribe, have to put his name on the get?
No,
Do we have to know who wrote it?
no.
So,
It's like the Gemara says, if you find an animal with its throat cut in a certain way where it seems it was ritual slaughter, you say, but there's so many things that can invalidate shechita. So how do we know it's kosher? But if you find an animal and the head hasn't been severed, and by looking at it, it looks like it had ritual slaughter, you could say with certainty it was done correctly. Why? Because the vast majority of people who engage in ritual slaughter are experts in this particular practice. It's kosher meat, not a problem.
does the same thing happen with the conversion?
But here it's better than rov. In Eretz Yisrael, it's better than rov. Stam, it's a presumption that every single sofer is fully professional.
So even though we don't know who it was,
Doesn't make a difference.
with a conversion, does somebody have to have a document to attest to a conversion?
Yes.
Someone comes and says, I'm a Jew, I was converted. And they produce a document? How do we know something like this? Because now we have this whole question about who did the conversion.
Today they would have to have a document.
But in ancient days, how did that work?
Also, you'd have to have. Was there? Who knows? He's telling us initially he wasn't Jewish, and who even knows what the conversion he may have.
His starting point is that he doesn't have a chesed.
First, even though he's a Meagle. I could have said, but still, but you may even know what a conversion is, right?
The reason I'm asking the question is because when it comes to conversion, who does the conversion?
Well, today
Such an important
it's
question.
a question. At one time, it wasn't a question. Today, it was a question. I'll give you an example. The Mishnah says in Rosh Hashanah that with the witnesses who would come to testify about the new moon, they accepted him. What it says, when the Kusim started to try to corrupt the whole process, even the witnesses came, they had to send somebody with them who the court recognized to testify that these witnesses are valid witnesses. Because they would actually hire false witnesses to testify to corrupt the whole process of Kiddush HaChodesh. It's the same thing. At one time, there was never a question. Today, there's a question. What is a bezdin? What is that? What is this? So you have to have the document. Even with a get today, it's not simple.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking.
Do you know
Sofa doesn't put their name on it.
Lahavdil, JTS? Do you know they write Gitten? It's not with a scribe. They do it on a computer. Computerized get. Today with the computer, they write Sifrei Torah that unless you know factually that it was done electronically, with everything, the calligraphy, you cannot visually tell the difference between written by a scribe or written being done by the computer. Impossible. And it's a very serious problem. Because there's certain people, they write Sifrei Torah with the computer.
And they print on cloth.
On cloth. It's done on cloth. Everything. It looks identical.
To a printer.
Everything. It's raised lettering. Everything. You cannot tell. Impossible to tell. So therefore, you have to know you have to have the yichus. You have to know the person who actually wrote it to attest to the fact he wrote that Sefer Torah.
Even though that person doesn't put his name on the document.
Doesn't make a difference. But you have to go back to the origin of that Sefer Torah.
But the Sefer Torah is
It was known fact in Europe, in Bulgaria, there were Karaites. There were Karaites in Europe, even before the war, in the past 100 years. Many of them, they practiced, like the Karaites practiced, but they weren't Jewish. They were not Jewish. And there were many Sifrei Torah written in Bulgaria by these people. And afterwards they were sold. And therefore, in Europe, a person would not use a Sefer Torah unless he knew the origin, the history of where did it come from. Or there were people, during the Haskalah movement, they were heretics. If a heretic writes a Sefer Torah, it's not a valid Sefer Torah.
Right.
It says you should even burn it. That's the halacha. So how do you know? So they're very. Now they brought over just last week. They bring over 180 Sifrei Torah from Russia, which the Nazis had confiscated from various communities after they destroyed him, and there was a train, and the Russians destroyed whoever's protecting, and they put it into their archives. And now, for whatever reason, they're being brought to the United States. 180 Sifrei Torah. Now, does anybody know the history, the origin? So the presumption is the majority of Sifrei Torah in Europe are kosher. Okay, you have a right to rely on Rove. But if you know it came from a certain area in Europe, it's not so simple. Because many of those Sifrei Torah were questionable whether they were valid Sifrei Torah.
There are two events to free a woman: the death of the husband or the get. Now, if a man writes a get, kosher get, with witnesses and everything, and it takes her months to deliver the get to the woman, in the meantime, she finds out quicker that her husband died.
And you're not sure when he died. And you're not sure. It's a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah later in what about...
Which prevails?
Wait, we'll tell you what the Mishnah says. Person sends a get and he's sick. We're not talking about he's about to die. He's sick.
Right.
And he could die tomorrow, he could die in 3 months, he could die a year from now.
Right.
So because when he gave the get, he was alive, we have principles called cheskes chai. Just as he's alive, we presume he was alive till we found out that he was no longer alive. So since she received the get at a time where it was questionable, so Chazaka rules he was alive when the get was delivered.
No, but this woman received the news of her husband's death.
No, again, who delivered the get? A shliach. That's what I'm saying. When the shliach took the get from the husband was alive.
Yes.
The presumption is, based on Chazaka, as he was alive when he received it, he was alive when it was given.
No, but if she finds out...
No, he died. Eventually he did die. And now we're not sure. When did he die? Did he die before the shliach gave her the get, or after?
Well, if he dies before...
No, then the get's not valid. But we can't verify that fact. There's no way to determine that fact. What's her state? Is she permitted to remarry or not permitted to remarry? Let's say she has no children. So therefore she's a Yavama. Is she permitted to remarry now? She's permitted to remarry. Because the Chazaka says that when she received the get, her husband was alive, therefore she's free to remarry.
In either case, she's free to remarry.
No, that's what I said. He died childless. So that means she's bound as a Yavama. Okay, we have a minute. So Rashi says over here, from overseas there's no communication, there are no caravans, people traveling back and forth. If the husband should come and contest, Lomar, lo kasafti. Here he says, I never wrote that get. That's what it's a forgery. The witnesses, they're able to say, we recognize these signatures, and they believe the shliach. Okay, but my question is still a question. If the husband gave the get to the shliach, what does he have to say that before let him, according to Rava, let him just say, I am a shliach. I am the agent of the husband. If I'm the agent of the husband, evidently what he gave me wasn't a forgery, because he gave it to me. If he wants to say, I wasn't aware, it has to be written lishmo, I took somebody else's get, okay, that is a concern.
But
So,
if the shliach's word against the husband...
no, but the Gemara says we believe the shliach, right? We believe the shliach over the husband. That was the Gemara's question. If it's two, it's one thing. But why is the one person's word against the other person's word? The answer is, we give him the power of the equivalent of two witnesses, the shliach. To be continued.